cheesecake you ever made?
Vanilla cheesecake.
And
with a biscuit base. And baked, of course.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
And for what occasions?
Well, really special occasions. One particular one, the important one, was my son's bar mitzvah when he was 13 years old. And of course in the Jewish faith you have that celebration of them coming to manhood. And that caused quite a stir. We lived in a semi-detached house, and the two downstairs rooms each had an equal amount of food in, including the cheesecake. And halfway through the evening, the people were moving from one room to the other, looking for more cheesecake. So I knew that it was a success, which was great.
And what made you think about developing it into a business?
I went into a Jewish deli and they were selling a Sara Lee cheesecake. Now, the Sara Lee cheesecake I had originally in Chicago many years before, and it was absolutely wonderful. This particular cheesecake, for all that it said Sara Lee, was nothing like the original. It was really dreadful. If you looked at the ingredient list, it had 101 ingredients, and it was just like plaster. So I suddenly got this bright idea to say to the owner, I can do better than that. So I said, okay, go on, try. And that's how it started. He started taking them from me, and they began to sell very well, and it grew from there.
Well, that's good. And how long has your cheesecake factory been running for?
41 years, I think. Well, the shop part of it has been running for 36 years, but I suppose I started at home about 5 years before that and was selling them out from home.
Okay. What is your favourite flavour of cheesecake?
Oh, don't ask me. That's so hard to say. Possibly the original, which is the vanilla cheesecake.
How do you go about developing different flavours for selling?
Well, I just get ideas. For instance, I was reading an article about Caribbean food, I think it was, and I saw this combination mentioned of banana and ginger, and I thought, oh, that might be a good idea. Put banana and ginger, raw grated ginger, into the vanilla mix, and let's see what turns out. And it is actually a lovely flavour.
And what's your best-selling cake?
Well, cheesecake, I suppose, is the best-selling overall. I will sell more cheesecakes in a week than anything else. But of other cakes, I would say carrot cake and chocolate French layer cake.
Okay. Who and what inspired you to bake?
Wanting to be independent. At that particular time, I was a teacher in primary school, and I felt that it would be nice to be independent, because at that time there were also rumours about cutting back on teachers, and you begin to feel very insecure, and you felt if you had your own business that you might be more in charge of your future.
Are there any other desserts that you enjoy making alongside cheesecake? Obviously you've mentioned a few.
Well, I don't actually make any of the cakes now, unless, say, on occasion a new recipe, I might actually make that just to see how it turns out. So I haven't made cheesecakes now. Well, I say that, but mainly I haven't made them since I've opened the shop, because it's an administrative job. Yeah. But come Christmas, when all the girls are on holiday between Christmas and New Year, I have had to go into the kitchen and make cheesecakes. And it's been a learning curve.
Is it still working out for you?
Back in your baking days, were there any other desserts that you felt you mastered?
No. It was cheesecake. It started with the vanilla cheesecake, and then of course comments started coming in. Can you make it smaller? Can you make it larger? Can you make different flavours? And so I did start with blackcurrant and strawberry and pineapple in those days as well. Maybe raspberry, I can't remember. But okay, we did change the range, as it were. We weren't quite so plain and straightforward.
No. And what tips would you give for any bakers out there?
Do your research. Think twice about what you're doing. If you're doing it at home, you must realise that you can't get too big, and if you want to go bigger, you probably have to rent accommodation, and renting accommodation is a nightmare. So I would say do your research, talk to other people who have gone down that path, those that have succeeded and why they've succeeded. And maybe if you can find somebody who's failed, find out why they've failed.
Yeah.
How was it you came across this accommodation here?
I was going past this accommodation on the way into town. Every time I went into town, and it had been on the market for about 2 years. And the position by the lights where cars have to stop and I've got time to look around seemed like a good idea. And so we decided to buy it.
What would you say your target market is around this area? Would you say more students or...?
It's really quite general now. I'd say at the very beginning it was students. Students in those days had more money, much more money than they have now. And it was grants, not loans, which makes a difference. So the student input is less than it was. But middle-class housewives, well, really, anybody, any housewife who has got a job and not much time will buy from me as well when she has guests.